and welcome to Boomer Health at Home. I'm your host, Megan Girvin, Director of Nursing at Ameristaff Nursing Services. Today, I'm joined by the Nursing Supervisor at Ameristaff Nursing Services, Megan Girvin. Hi, Megan.
Hello, Maggie.
On today's show, we're going to talk about understanding the COVID vaccine. We're kind of going to break down any questions anybody might have within the community and what it represents and where you can go to get it. So, Megan, thank you for joining us again today. My first question for you is, where can someone get this vaccine?
So as time goes on, there's going to be more and more places to get it. To start with, it's mostly large healthcare centers like Beaumont, Henry Ford, all those large hospital systems in the area, DMC. So it depends which hospital system you're normally seen through, and you would sign up through using your MyChart. You ask for like an activation link, and you can sign up through there. And then there's others like through the community health resources, the counties. You can call or try to sign up online. A lot of their websites have links. Unfortunately, due to the traffic, some of it was crashing from time to time, so it took a little bit of time. Or like my grandma said, her finger went numb from, hitting redial so many times. But she did get through, and she did get vaccinated. So, and then going forward, they do plan on kind of opening it up to more large pharmacies to start with, like CVS, Meijer, that type of stuff. So some of those are actually already going into assisted livings to help with the vaccinations. And then hopefully we'll open up more to the community.
Okay. So there's been a lot of talk about if you're 65 and older, you're going to get it first, frontline workers, nurses, doctors. How do you know when you're eligible and who is eligible?
So there's actually a whole phase program. I'm sure you guys have heard it on the news. They talk about it a lot and what phase we're in. So some counties are still in 1A, others are in 1B, we're getting a 1C. So depending on where you fall, which you can go on the Michigan website, you can go on the county website, and it'll tell you where they're at right now in the phase plan and who's eligible within that phase plan. So depending on where you're at is kind of how fast you can get it.
Okay. And then different counties are in different phases. Am I understanding that correctly?
Correct. And they're trying to get people to stop the tourist vaccinations, kind of going to other areas to go get it. They're trying to get people to stay more in their region because they're trying to do the counts per region. But
okay, makes sense. So we've been hearing a lot about Pfizer. Pfizer was the first to launch in the UK. Pfizer is now here in the United States, and also Moderna. Are there any others that we know of that are coming down at all that we'd have access to?
So not yet. There's a couple, they're in the works. I'm sure they're being talked about on the news. Merck actually just pulled theirs because it was a different type, and they're just finding that it's not going to work as well as the others. Pfizer and Moderna are very well known. The only difference between the two is Moderna, you have to wait, 28 days instead of the 21 days like Pfizer. Both have pretty much the same 95% to like 94 point something for how well it works. So there isn't too much difference if you kind of pull up the graph between the two. It's not a crazy difference. So if you do have one, though, you have to stick with that one. So like I had the Pfizer one, so I have to get the second dose of Pfizer. My mom had Moderna, so she had the second dose of Moderna. So
okay. And I'm hearing a lot about safety, a lot of people questioning, well, I don't know what's in it. Are these vaccines safe?
They are. They're actually extremely safe compared to some other ones. Less major reactions, anaphylactic reactions being reported. There's a lot less byproducts in them that normally when they have to kill off a vaccine, this is a new kind of vaccine, so it doesn't have all those byproducts floating around in it that are being injected in the body. So the less stuff, we're putting in it, the better, right?
Oh, absolutely. You'll hear a lot about the anti-vaxxers or people that just don't trust the science saying, well, this vaccine was just rolled out way too fast. How was it that we were able to do this so fast?
Well, I think one of the biggest differences now is technology. They can map the genome so quickly now. And then the other big difference is that with it being a worldwide pandemic, people actually shared. It wasn't the competitive, like, no, I want to go first and make all the money off of it. it was a lot of sharing of information that we really just have never seen before. So that opened up a lot because scientists could kind of piggyback off of other ideas and work together to create something. And then they also came up, it is a worldwide pandemic, so the rules change a little bit. It's not going to be 5 to 10 years of studies. They're going to do the trials simultaneously. And really, it's been almost a year since it was March last year, I think March 19th, somewhere around there, that they actually injected the first person with vaccination. So they have been studying it for a while. It's just, do we know the long-term ramifications of how long it's going to last? Is it going to be yearly like the flu, or is it going to be 10 years, like MMR and need another booster? Those are the things we don't know yet on those. So.
Okay. Where would one go to find information about the vaccines? Let's say I want to know all the research that's been done. I want to know about all about the anaphylaxis that could happen to someone. Where would I want to get the real information from?
So the CDC always has information. The FDA actually does have it up, even though they're not technically FDA approved yet. They have facts, information sheets, all sorts of stuff up on their websites. But really the CDC has every ounce of information you could probably, want to know on coronavirus, or maybe stuff you didn't even want to know on it is posted on their website.
Okay. So let's say I live here in Oakland County. I signed up through the county and my appointment is, next week sometime. What should I expect when I go to this appointment?
So there will still be the screenings in place. Everywhere you go now has that beautiful COVID screening. You'll need to wear your mask. They'll give you a list of directions of how early you need to show up, what you need to bring in forms of like information cards. You should wear loose clothing, like they have to get right up here at the top in your deltoid. So you want to wear something that you can either pull up easily, like a t-shirt, or like I wear a tank top underneath another jacket to make it easily accessible to the muscle. And then when you're there, it is going to be the injection into the muscle. It does hurt way less, I will say, than like the annual flu shot that burns a little bit. This one I honestly didn't feel at all. It was like a little pinch prick from the needle, but it actually was a slightly tinier needle than the ones previously used. So it really wasn't bad at all.
Well, that's very good to hear. That's nice to hear. Besides an aching muscle, if you have any other type of side effect, how would one report that? Who do you call? What's the protocol?
So you can always call your doctor, go to the ER if it's a large reaction. They're actually, when you're going for the test, I forgot to mention this, they actually do monitor you for 15 to 20 minutes afterwards. So the setup that I had gone to, we actually sit in a room over 6 feet apart from other people, and there's nurses in that room that are monitoring everyone. And then after that time, you can leave. And during that time, you make your like secondary appointment. But they also, during that time, sign you up for a program called vSafe. And what that is through the CDC, they have you actually track your symptoms so that they can actually collect a large volume of information, which is super helpful for all the scientists and researchers that are working on these vaccines. A large amount of data that they normally wouldn't have. But for me, I signed up on my cell phone. They send you a link that you just click on daily. You report your symptoms, how bad they are, that type of stuff. It's like a mild, moderate, or severe. If you do have severe enough reactions, the CDC may actually reach out to you. And then after the weekly, after the daily, it switches to weekly. So like today, I'm up on my 2 weeks, so that I'll get another ping today asking me, how are you doing? Have you had to stay home from work? How bad were your symptoms?
Wow. Okay. And then I assume there is an alternative for those that don't have smartphones and can't download an app and things like that.
Yes. And they actually have the directions for these at the places where you're getting the vaccinations, but they also have it on the CDC website.
Okay, great. So we've been hearing a lot about this vaccine and how it's different from all the other vaccines. It's not a dead virus like how the flu shot is. This is called an mRNA vaccine. Is that correct?
Yes.
So what is mRNA?
Yeah, so mRNA is actually the messenger RNA in our body. So it's kind of like the little carrier pigeon that, is going cell to cell and kind of telling them what to do. They carry their little message and shows it off to the cell and passes that message along. So.
Okay. And how are we using the mRNA for the COVID vaccine?
So they actually took a synthetic mRNA. So it's not actually part of the virus. It's not, they didn't take a piece of the virus and inject it into you. It's actually synthetic RNA. And all it is the portion that is going to tell our cells how to make the protein spike. So I'm sure we've all seen pictures of the nice coronavirus, and then it has the beautiful crown spikes off of it, which is how it got its name. But it's just teaching our body to make those protein spikes. And after it gets into our cell, it burns itself. It goes away after it trains our cell. So then once there's a protein spike on our cell, the body actually teaches itself how to have immunity against it. So it sees that as a foreign invader and then teaches antibodies like, hey, we have to beef up for this because there's something new in our body. And that way, the next time you're presented with it, you'll have a stronger reaction. So with the 2 vaccinations, some people have, more side effect symptoms after the second one, but then your body's beefing up. So then it's kind of ready. It has an army kind of ready and waiting for the next time it actually is presented with the virus.
Wow. Very interesting. I love the technology here. It's very, very interesting. Sad that it had to come from a pandemic, but still, the technology is awesome. Now, will this change your actual DNA at all?
It doesn't, because it doesn't actually get into the nucleus of the cell, which is where your DNA is. There is other research studies that they're working on other vaccines that people have been talking about, and I think it's created a lot of worry and panic out in the community that, they're hearing that there's DNA viruses. There are some that they're looking at doing in the future, kind of, and for the mRNA, they're looking at for cancer, for, HIV, all sorts of stuff, but all of that is being kind of convoluted online. That fake news is coming into play to where it's actually scaring people and, making them think that something else is going to happen. So it doesn't actually touch our DNA. It's just showing our body, hey, this is different. Let's beef up.
So like you said, it's teaching our body to fight this off.
Yes.
To recognize it. Okay.
Yep.
So have we used mRNA, and by we, I mean the United States and our surrounding communities, have we used mRNA vaccines before and nobody just knew it? We just didn't know it? Has this been a long time coming? They've
been studying it for decades. They haven't used it in anything yet. So it's been being studied for decades in a lot of different things. Like I was saying, they're looking at HIV vaccinations. They're looking at actually cancer vaccinations where, it would train the body to attack the tumor that, would grow in the body. So it's not a new technology in the form of, they've never seen this before and they just randomly came up with it in the last year. It has been out there, but then when they were looking to see what will work best against this is the one that worked well against it. The problem being that a lot of these mRNA vaccinations, there's a lot of problems with how they have to be stored or transported. They're very sensitive. So for long-term use for other vaccinations, they really have to figure out, will this work best? Is it going to be a waste of money? That type of a thing. So.
Okay. And in your nursing opinion, why is it important to get vaccinated?
So I'm sure everyone's heard about herd immunity by now, but it's a big deal. So especially if you're popular, like Miss Maggie over here is, rather outgoing, whereas I tend to stay home and read a lot of books. So Maggie would actually be the better candidate to get vaccinated because she sees more people. She talks to more people. So that herd immunity idea is that we all, that can get vaccinated, because there's a lot of people out there that cannot get a vaccination, those going through cancer treatments, those that are just too sick, and we want to protect those people. So it's kind of, like the herd of cows that you protect your weaklings so that they can do better. And it's kind of being about good in the community. There's also, the selfish portion of, hey, I want my life back to normal and I want to not get sick and I want to not pass it to those I love. So there's a multi-aspect reason of why a lot of us got vaccinated. For anyone in nursing, one of my main concerns are my patients. Most of my patients are immunocompromised and they can't get the vaccination. So it's to protect them when we're going out to treat them.
Sounds good. And it sounds like for someone that says, well, we don't know what's in this vaccine, I don't, where there's just not enough knowledge about it. My rebuttal at that point would be go to the CDC website, see what's going on, see that we have done the research. We do know what's in it. It's your lack of research on your part is kind of why you don't know what's in this vaccine. Would that be something you could possibly say to someone?
Yes, and it's on the FDA website. It actually lists off the ingredients. So if people want to look it up, they can. I will say too, I've noticed, people will pick on this vaccine a lot, but then they're sitting there eating foods that they have no idea what they're putting in their body. So it's kind of funny that we chose to get very picky about the vaccine, but not so picky about what we do every day, which really the everyday is what creates most health problems that we've seen. So
I agree. I will leave you with something I found on Instagram. Some woman was saying, I eat American cheese every day. I have no idea what's in it. So when I'm up for the vaccine, I will definitely be getting it. For those that say, I don't know what's in it. So I thought that was actually kind of funny as well.
Yeah, that's very cute.
So, Megan, thank you so much for all of your information. This was very enlightening. I think we've got some good resources now for our community. So everyone, please, please, please inform yourselves and get vaccinated if and when you are eligible. We really appreciate you taking the time out today. That finalizes our COVID vaccine episode for this week. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful week. Stay safe and healthy.
For joining us on Boomer Health at Home. My name is Greg Jamian, and I bring you our series on Boomer Health so we can explore together important healthcare topics impacting the baby boomer generation today. As a home health professional for over 40 years, I'm happy to share my team's knowledge as baby boomers seek answers to difficult healthcare questions. This show provides valuable resources, ideas and tips, and cutting-edge solutions that will improve your everyday life and health. Don't forget to join us for all the other shows in our Boomer Health at Home series.